Hello everyone.
Hello, hello.
I'm Toni.
And I'm Tali.
And we are
the Lazy Book Lovers.
This is a podcast for book lovers who procrastinate about reading and have never-ending to-be-read piles. Today we're doing a reading update. And we haven't done a lot of these because we're not being very on brand and we're reading too much. That's been the theme for the year.
How dare we?
I feel like, though, it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to be like,
we're finally
we're
getting
reading
through
too much.
some of our books. Oh, so a
Yeah.
booktuber I follow, and I'm in his Discord as well. He's called Criminolly. He's called Ollie, and he talks about like criminal book, like crime, horror, pulp, that kind of thing. That's his exact slogan.
I'm always annoyed that my name can't be turned into like a cool name.
I know. He does starting on the 1st of November, a Read What You Own challenge. And basically, he's not allowed to buy any new books until he's read 100 books that he already owns.
Oh my god.
And he invites people to do it with him every year. I might do it this year with him. But you can do whatever caveats you want. So last year he did any books he was sent for free were fine.
Okay.
But he just couldn't physically buy any
But
books.
I mean, are you in a book buying ban for an entire year then?
Until you've read 100 books. So he
Oh
was
my
doing it
God.
until March was when he hit 100 books.
How the fuck does someone read 100 books by March?
From November to March.
I know, but that's still like 5 months. I've done like 56. And half of them were audios.
And some people do it that they just can't buy physical books, but they're still allowed to buy Kindle books or whatever. So I think I might join in with some form of it.
It probably would be good for me to do that.
Yeah.
Although I've discovered the loophole of I've got a pile of ones I'm going to sell on Vinted.
So that money doesn't count, so you spend it back on books.
Yeah, but also in my head I'm like, oh, because I'm always like, don't buy any books, there's no room for them. And I'm like, but if I read them, I can just sell them. It's not a waste anymore. Because I'm like, there's a waste of money. I'm like, but if I get more money after I've read it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make all my money back, but.
Girl math.
It's girl math. Because
Girl math.
if I bought it for like £7 but end up selling it for like £4, I've only really lost £3.
Yeah, and then you're going to buy another book with that money.
Yeah.
So, girl math.
Girl math. I fucking love girl math.
So we're going to do, for those of you who didn't hear, I don't know what episode it was I mentioned it, I'm trying to do 30 audiobooks in October. I'm aware there's 31 days, but 30 sounded like a better number.
Yeah.
And the template for the books works better with an even number. So
Fuck it.
yeah, I'm trying to do 30 audiobooks in October. So
I've been checking on your stories and it looks like you're doing alright.
I think, so for context, today is the 12th. And I think I've done, let me double check, I think I've done 9 audiobooks.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, and they're not all short ones either.
That's my problem, I pick really long ones.
So yeah, I'm just going to kind of pick a few to talk about today, basically.
It's not every single thing on her list.
Yeah.
You can find our story graphs, which has like the full list of everything we've read.
Yeah, or follow me on Instagram or TikTok, because I'm doing like a little reel for each book.
Yeah, they're really pretty, by the way.
I'm trying to do them a little bit on brand to the style of the book, so they're not going out as quick as I'm listening to the books.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah, I thought they've been really cool. I've been trying to like them as they pop up.
Thank you. I'm really enjoying doing like little graphics and stuff.
Oh, the one where you did like, you had red lipstick on and you were like really
vampire
close to the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Go look at her Instagram, guys. She's working really hard. I post once every 3 months. Sometimes more often than my story, but that's it.
Yeah, so on my Instagram as well, I'm trying to alternate the reel with a photo. So
yeah, you're
I'm
trying
kind
so
of
much
stuck
harder with me.
until I've got a photo now. But yeah, because I'm not sure if I'm going to leave the reels on the grid. I might remove them. So I'm going to leave them up for a month and then see what I think.
Do you know what someone told me? They've been because they work in an office with lots of younger people. They use their Instagrams how we used Facebook back in the day. So like these really pretty curated feeds we try and do.
Yeah, they're not.
And they just photo dump.
Yeah.
They'll have a night out and it's like, you know, like the shit photo album we used to do on Facebook.
I've seen so many
of like a night
people do
out
that,
and it's just crap, blurry, like not aesthetic pictures.
That's how people use their Instagram.
That's how the youth are using their Instagram. Sorry if you're younger and you're listening to this.
have considered,
I'm not that old, but
I have considered doing that a few times. I feel like I can't.
Because
But
like
I
our
might
obsession
try.
with this really pretty grid, it's a millennial thing. It's not, Gen Z aren't doing it.
Yeah.
And Gen Alpha aren't doing it.
For ages, I had like the description in my bio on Instagram as casual vibes, and I had to remove that because I was like, nothing about my grid says casual vibes. But I do need to bring it back.
Especially when you had it like a pattern across the grid, didn't you, at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just effort that I cannot be asked to put in.
Anyway.
Am I going first or you?
You could go first.
All right.
Go on.
Go on. So I listened to Divine Rivals, the first book in the Letters of Enchantment series, which I didn't know it was called that. Rebecca Ross was the author. It was a 11-hour audio, basically.
And how was it?
It's good.
Yeah.
So
I want to read this. It's been recommended a lot. But compared to weird books.
It's been on a lot of weird lists. Like, if you liked Fourth Wing, you'll like Divine Rivals. And they're completely fucking different. And I don't get it.
It's been compared to so many different types of books.
And
like,
it's not.
What even is this?
So let me read the description and then I'll sort of tell you my shit version, where I said basically 20 times. When two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war among gods to seal their fate forever. After centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again, but 18-year-old Iris Winnow just wants to hold her family together. Her mother is suffering from addiction and her brother is missing from the front lines. Her best bet is to win the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette. To combat her worries, Iris writes letters to her brother and slips them between her wardrobe door, where they vanish, into the hands of Roman Kit, her cold and handsome rival at the paper. When he anonymously writes back to Iris, the two of them forge a connection that will follow Iris all the way to the front lines of the battle, for her brother, the fate of mankind, and love. Yeah, so the gods are awake, basically. And her brother, you hear like the song of the gods in your head, and it calls you to the front lines. And her brother hears the song and goes to the front lines. And then her mum starts to drink, and Iris is like, has to drop out of school. Wins a position at the newspaper as like an intern kind of thing, and is trying to compete to become a columnist. And so is this guy Roman. She hates Roman. It's enemies to lovers, quote marks.
So is this a little bit like Romeo and Juliet inspired, or?
No.
No, okay.
She's poor, he's from a rich family. His rich family.
Okay.
But it's like a self-made rich family. Mm-hmm. So which is why they're trying to force him to become a columnist. And so he's like, but he doesn't want to, Iris doesn't know that, and they're competing at the newspaper, blah, blah, blah. And then tragedy strikes, and Iris is like, actually, this doesn't matter that much, to be honest. And she decides to follow her brother to the front lines as like a war correspondent. But they have magical typewriters, which let them send letters to each other. And she doesn't know. So it's a thing her and her brother used to do. Because she doesn't know where to send the letters to find her brother. To make herself feel better, she was writing these letters on the typewriter, putting them in the cupboard. And then they were just disappearing. And she was for months been like, whoa!
Oh well.
And like, Roman realised it was her, but didn't say anything and didn't write back.
It's like The Undertaker in A Heart of Mercy.
So he doesn't write back for ages, and then eventually he kind of works out that she's not trying to psych him out. It's not some kind of trick. That she doesn't know that these letters are coming to him, so he decides to write back anonymously, just to be like, so sorry, this isn't Fox, which is her brother's name.
Okay.
You've been writing to some rando guy this whole time. I love your letters though, please don't stop sending them. And then they sort of like fall in love through the letters, but in person, Iris fucking hates Roman's guts.
It's like The Undertaker in A Heart of Mercy.
I've not read that, have I?
Please read it.
I think I've downloaded it somewhere. So yeah, and then Roman follows her to the front lines. And she's like, fuck's sake, like, I literally couldn't let me have this. Like, I'm doing so well as a war correspondent, and he had to come take it away after he, like, you know, beats me for the columnist position. What a bastard. And then she starts to, like, get close with Roman in real life, and then she starts to feel like she's betraying her letter friend. Yeah, it's very cute.
Is it dual POV?
Yes. But more from Iris's point of view than Roman's. It does switch, but not as often. Is it just
a little bit of context from him?
No, there's quite a few chapters that are all Roman, but there's more Iris chapters. Especially when she goes off to the war front, it's just her for ages.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, World War II-y, but there's, like magic and gods fighting.
Okay.
And there's, like, demons from the underworld who one of the gods summons. So, like, they do, like, air raid shelters, but it's because demons are above. But it's still very World War II-y in the way it's all done.
Okay. And, like, typewriters kind of give that essence.
Yeah. It's just I think it's a bit cozy fantasy, and then we're at a war, so it's, like, very cozy. It's letters back and forth. Like, the story is told a lot through letters, which I know you like.
Yeah.
And then we get to the war front, and things kind of just, like, kick off from there. But it's quite cozy up till then, sort of. Yeah.
That sounds good.
I really liked it.
So it's a series?
Yes.
Will you continue the series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it leaves on a bit of a cliffhanger, like a good one.
Yeah. So Toni listens to this on Scribd, or Scribed, as I think it should be pronounced, but everyone pronounces it Scribd.
That's
it should be Scribed, because you're describing
As a scribe, yeah.
So yeah, if you want to check it out, go to...
Oh, you can get...
go to our card and use my link, and you'll get a month free to try it.
2 months?
2 months. You get 2 months free to try it. That's cool.
Yeah, 2-month trial.
Go do it. There's no excuse now. And then I get a free month if you take 2 months.
Yeah.
Love you.
XO. Not sponsored, but, like, would happily be sponsored. Jesus. We will sell out.
I don't think I've ever seen them sponsor anyone.
Yeah. I'd prefer to sell out to them than Amazon.
Yeah.
Although if Amazon offered us money, I would absolutely sell out. So
I'd really like to have Libro as our sponsor as well.
Oh my god, that would be cool.
I would like to be sponsored by anyone.
We'd just like get some money.
Yeah. What's that? You're a pet food company? Sure, you can sponsor us. We don't care. We've got pets.
Well, I'm passionate about pets. That's fine.
I'm passionate about pet food.
I mean, our house, because we've got older cats now who are fussy as fuck, it is a topic of conversation far too often.
Yeah.
And, like, you've got to pile it up in a specific way to please our overlords.
It's so funny when, like, they're fine and then suddenly they're just like, no, actually.
You need to heat that in a very specific way, otherwise I can't possibly eat it.
The other morning, Hamilton didn't come for his breakfast, so I had to go find him and make sure he was alive. Because I was like, what the fuck? But it was the day after they'd had their vet appointment for their, like, MOT and had jabs, so I guess he was just a bit upset about
He was just like, I don't trust you anymore. I'm not coming when you go.
Yeah.
I mean, he's out with the dawn, that cat.
Hamilton?
Yeah. Context, I have cats out for her cats.
Yeah. Yeah, Hamilton is... Well, he wants food 24/7, so it was very odd. Okay. I read Holly by Stephen King.
Okay.
So, basically, I want... Every year, I'm sure anyone that's listening that's a reader knows, maybe you don't, Goodreads do, like, Goodreads awards.
Yeah.
They're a bit shit. And they're a bit like... Shit is the only word I can think of. So,
they're a bit like whoever's paid Amazon the most that year.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, in horror, it's Stephen King. In fantasy, it's Sarah J. Maas. Like, it's just... There's no real build-up to it. So, they have the ones that are totally not paid off, and they get in the list. And then they have like public vote, so you can vote, and you can put some people in the shortlist, but they won't get any further because they're not big names. And there's also the fact that people just go on there and vote for names they know and haven't. Yeah. So each year I'm like, I want to try and read a big amount of the shortlist of horror before I vote.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to read the ones that I think will be on the shortlist. So Stephen King just had a book come out, so I was like, that will definitely be on the shortlist, so I'll read this. It's not actually a horror. It's listed as horror, but it's not. It's a crime. actually it is a crime horror because the bad guys are cannibals. So yeah, actually that would be quite horror actually. Yeah, I'll take that back. It can go on horror.
There's not much horror. They just eat people. Like, God. So sensitive these days.
Snowflakes. These days. So this follows a detective called Holly Gibney, who is a side character from another series he had.
Okay.
The Bill Hodges series. The books are called Mr. Mercedes, Finders Keepers, and The Outsider. Follows a detective called Bill Hodges, and he has a sidekick, I believe, who's Holly. So die-hard Stephen King fans say you should read them in that order.
Okay.
I said I'm reading Holly. I've not read the rest, so I did that.
I'm not like other girls.
It was quite good. So it follows Holly, who is a private eye. Absolute spoilers for that trilogy. Bill's just died, and she's inherited his detective agency. He's the main character from the rest, so do with that what you will. And she is not, it doesn't say it, but she clearly is neurodivergent in some way.
Okay.
And she gets hired to find a missing girl. And then it flicks to this older couple. Like, when I mean older couple, they're like in their 80s, mid-80s.
Okay.
And it turns out they're cannibals. And they're the ones that stole the girl. And Holly starts like piecing together. There's been lots of missing teenagers in this area, or like young adults, and and then it flicks back to flashbacks from the cannibal old people. So they're basically they believe that consuming human flesh and stuff helps them stay sprightly, and they make lotions out of the fat to rub onto their arthritis.
Right, well.
Yeah. I guess it is horror though.
It's like, so do they like describe the murdering?
Yeah, and what they do with the bodies.
Okay,
so
yeah,
it's quite horror.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound horror at all.
It was quite
Sounds
cool.
Delightful.
And it was quite cool, like the flicking of the POV to watch Holly closing in on them and then realising Holly's closing in on them.
Oh, okay.
Stephen King is an interesting author. I feel like, okay, I've only read one other King book, which is his first ever book, Carrie. And I've now read his most recent ever book.
I just could have sworn you would have read more than that.
I know, right? Why haven't I?
Because, like, you have so many of them.
Yeah, I'm collecting them.
Okay. Don't question it.
And, I would say that, like, his style of writing hasn't actually greatly changed.
That's
Maybe
cool.
it's a little less sexist and racist as it used to be.
Did start in the 80s,
He's
didn't
not
he?
on as many drugs now as well, so... Yeah.
I do like it when him or, like, Neil Gaiman reply, like, how did you come up with this idea? And they're just like, drugs. It was the 80s, it was drugs. Like,
I was high as fuck.
I was high as a fucking kite.
Good question. So it was quite, like, thrilling and, like, adrenaline, like, the catching up on each other. It's set in 2021, so it's like there's a COVID pandemic, which was really weird because I've not read any books, I don't think, that have COVID mentioned in it. So that was really weird because they're wearing masks. She's like elbow tapping people. There's loads of people that are like, COVID's made up, it's not real. Like her partner, as in business partner, has COVID, so she's doing all the investigating by herself. Her mum at the beginning of the book has just died from COVID because she refused to get the jab because she didn't believe it was real, and then she ended up dying.
Oh wow, so it's proper COVID-y.
So it's very political as well. There's lots of digs at like Trump, and it was quite good. It was interesting. I need to read more Stephen King.
Yeah, you definitely do. I can't believe you only read 2 of his books.
I know. I have a lot of shelf space devoted to him as well. And I don't watch any of his films because I want to read the books first.
Oh, I have read, because I'm not a big horror person, to be honest. my imagination just went wild with the one Stephen King I read, Pet Sematary.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember I had to sleep with the lights on for a month?
I have watched that film, actually.
Film doesn't do it justice. Because the visceral creepiness of the cat
I can imagine,
doesn't come across on film. Like, there was a new one made recently. I've watched both
that as well. Yeah,
it doesn't do the film justice.
I watched both of them after I had my son, and I couldn't cope with the idea of the kid dying.
Well, that's based on a real life experience of Stephen King's as well. His son nearly gets hit by a truck.
Oh God!
Instead, in his version of the story, he saves his son just before it happens. Yeah. But it is like he looks away for 2 seconds, and then his son's on the main road. Oh, so that's what it's based off of, and then all the feelings. Yeah. He just
fucking go for
blinked and then he's just gone. Yeah. So that's based on a real experience he had. Except obviously his son didn't die.
Yeah, and they didn't then
fall on the dead.
Yeah, that was back when he used to fall on the trope of ancient Indian burial grounds and all that quite a lot, which we now know. Well, they knew then, but now is very frowned upon because of how racist it is.
It's giving colonizer.
Yeah. It's giving. Oh my God. So my son at school, they've been making Halloween decorations at school.
Yeah.
And he said they're making dream catchers today. And last night when he told me, I was like, that's a bit indigenous. What's going on there?
It's not very Halloween as well. What's dream catchers got to do with Halloween?
Yeah, and I explained to him, I was like, really, you shouldn't make dream catchers. They should just be made by indigenous people who believe in the spirits of it and stuff. And he was like, am I indigenous? Because I'm making one. And I was like, I love you so much. My heart
bless your little heart.
I was like, if you believe in the magic that it's going to catch the dreams.
Yeah.
I can't keep sending him into school with random things.
He just repeats this stuff at school. The teacher's like, okay.
When he was explaining about indigenous people to them, what was it they were talking about? Oh, it was when they learnt about Thanksgiving last year. Yeah. So I taught him about indigenous peoples and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And sent him on his merry way.
And then he likes to teach the other children and the teachers. Thinks he learns from mummy.
Our little village school is not really for him. And then at the same time I was reading that, I was listening to an audiobook for my audiobook challenge called Exquisite Corpse. By Poppy Z. Bright. Now, this has been on my TBR for a while.
Alright.
And it's about cannibals.
Yeah, to be fair, so when we were about to do this reading update before we started recording, she's like, I've got a lot of cannibals today. And I was like, perfectly normal sentence to be saying to me. Go.
And listening to this, and then when I wasn't listening to this, I was reading the book, the Stephen King book. I was like, a bit sick. Oh. We're eating veggie for a few days.
Not just be like, I fancy salmon and pork now.
But yeah, so this follows. It's set in the 90s, I think, and it follows 2 different serial killers. One in the UK and one in New Orleans.
Okay.
And the one in New Orleans is under the radar, not being caught. It's in the AIDS pandemic.
Okay.
And he goes after queer boys, so no one's really noticing or caring that they're going missing. And then the serial killer in the UK, when it starts, he's in prison, he escapes and then goes to America, and then they meet up with each other, happenstance, and get some serial killing done together, I guess. Yeah. So the first guy, the British guy, he sees his work as art. Actually, they both kind of see their work as art, and I use the term work very loosely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of there's a lot of content warnings for this that I kind of wish I'd looked up before. I was like, nothing bothers me. And
Well, is it body horror or just icky or?
Okay, so the content warnings on Storygraph are cannibalism, gore, murder, police brutality, racism, homophobia, incest.
Ugh.
There's also, it's not on this list. I need to log it onto this list. There's also there's sex happening. Not very consensual sex. And then there's discussions of vomit and stuff while it's happening.
Ew.
And various bodily fluids such as vomit being used in a lubricant way. I'm done talking about it. It's really gross. It was an interesting book, but it was very gross. It's extreme horror.
Yeah.
And it is extreme horror. But it was a very interesting discussion on the AIDS pandemic and stuff. That part was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected from a cannibal extreme horror book, really.
Yeah.
I should have just expected what I listened to.
Just kind of preemptively be well, not much is off limits here.
Yeah, and luckily I listened to this one on headphones, so I haven't traumatised my children.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Can you imagine the questions he would have?
Oh, no. Yeah. I was listening to another book, which is the one I finished yesterday, and I was just listening out loud because I didn't think I'd have to worry. And then I was he came in the kitchen when I was washing up, and then something started being said, and I had to jump across and stop my phone. No, this is actually not one you can listen to. So
Alright, so I obviously listen to audiobooks to sleep a lot as well. And I play them when I stay at my boyfriend's. But he has a rule, which I think is very rude, that I'm not allowed to listen to the smutty ones when I'm there.
Why?
He's I don't want to listen to this crap. And I'm like you don't read. Crap? He reads the same crap.
Yeah.
Just fucking, yeah. No. But, and then I started playing the First Aiding Academy, because I was I'm sure there's no spicy scenes for quite a while, so I might get away with this. And he was we're both half falling asleep, and then it gets to she's checking out his gleaming biceps, and he's what am I listening to?
Yeah, but oh sorry, I've just thrown my drink all over the place. Sorry, Mike.
There's a badge on the coaster. Why couldn't
my
you see that? That's where I keep my badges. God.
I couldn't see it because the mug and the vitamin C serum were in the way.
We've got coconut oil, vitamin C serum. So this badge, I'm going to tell a story now, because we've been very on topic. So I went to see Sarah Millican.
Beaver.
I went to see Sarah Millican the other day. She has a whole section about she believes everyone's either a late bloomer or an eager beaver, and then she has these badges as you leave, and you have to take what you were. And she reads out what she thinks is the criteria for eager beaver or late bloomer.
Oh, what is the criteria? Do you remember?
Oh, it's all to do with you were sporty and outgoing in school. Your first kiss was before you were 16. All this kind of stuff, and I was
all right, fine,
fine. And then, where you kind of just become kind of boring as you get old. And I was yep.
Done.
That was me. And late blooms, obviously.
Late blooms.
Self-explanatory.
So, yeah, go on. You tell us something non-cannibal if you can.
So, I read Cemetery Boys. By Aidan Thomas.
What did you think?
I really enjoyed it.
So lovely.
It's such a cute little story.
That's a perfect Halloween read if you're not into horror or spooky stuff.
Yeah, it's not too spooky, but there's just enough spook and
there is a serial killer in it.
Kind of.
But it's not scary.
It's all quite low stakes.
And yeah, it's kind of cosy, I guess. I think so, yeah.
Okay, let me read out the summary, because it always does a better job than I do.
I think they're doing a second one to it.
Yeah, because it's Cemetery Boys Book 1, it's saying here.
It never used to say that, but now it does, yeah.
So I wonder. I think there is room for more things to say about it.
Yeah, I would love to meet the characters more.
So, a trans boy determined to prove his gender to his traditional Latinx family, or Latinx. I've been seeing online, there's two different ways to pronounce that.
It depends, yeah. And I think it depends.
Because we're not American, I don't really know or South American, I don't really know the correct way, so I'm just going to say it the way it looks. Latinx family summons a ghost who refuses to leave. Sorry, that was... You know when they do a weird mini summary and there's another summary?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let me read the full thing now. Jerkll has summoned a ghost, and now he can't get rid of him. When his traditional Lasinx family has problems accepting his true gender, Jerkll becomes determined to prove himself a real brujo. With the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the ritual himself and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He's determined to find out what happened and tie off some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no choice, Jerkll agrees to help Julian so that they can both get what they want. But the longer Jerkll spends with Julian, the less he wants him to leave.
Yeah, so Jerkll is trying to get his family to accept him as a trans male. And so he doesn't want to do the ceremony to be a bruja,
because they have different roles in his community. So the brujos, they guard the cemetery, and then in any spirits that turn maligno get basically put to rest. But other than that, the spirits are kind of left to do their thing. But they just keep the cemetery kind of shipshape. And then the women, the brujas, can heal. And they do a lot of the cooking, the ritual.
Women are always healers and everything, aren't they?
And because it's very new, quote marks, to their culture, they don't really know what to do with him. Because they have accepted his name, mostly. And his new pronouns, mostly. Apart from, elder family members slipping up quite a lot. But they don't believe that if he went to do the ceremony... Because there's a ceremony...
It's like a spiritual thing,
There's a spiritual ceremony which kind of, solidifies their connection to their magic and means they can start training to be, full-fledged members of the community. And they don't believe that if he did that ceremony that he would get the powers of a brujo. They were like, you just get your healing powers. But his healing powers has never worked properly. So they just don't believe they don't know what to do with him. So they're like, you know what, you're just not going to do the ceremony at all.
They see that as the easiest,
and that means
no one seems to talk to him about it.
And that means he can't participate in his community, essentially.
So he's just an absolute outcast.
So he goes and secretly does this ceremony, and the goddess of death is just like, you're a man. Here's your man powers. And so he believes that will help his community accept him. But instead of being able to tell them, he summons this ghost that won't go away. And he's like, shit, I need to deal with this first.
And the ghost is like a teenage boy that goes to the same school as him.
And he's like the bad boy, and there's rumours that he's in a gang and deals drugs, and none of them are true. And he's got this little found family of miscreants, but they're really not that bad. And they're all LGBTQIA, so kind of. Cause they have a trans woman, who's in their friendship group, and then Julian's
bisexual. I think,
I can't remember actually.
Or not specified.
I think he does. I think he says I'm gay, dude, because when Jerkll's all kind of hesitant to tell him stuff, and then he's just like, I don't care. Because Jerkll tells him, I'm trans, and Julian's like, good for you. When can I go see my friends?
Well, I need stuff sorted. I need to find out why I'm dead.
And so Jerkll's trying to explain terminology, and Julian's just like, I know that, shut up.
I don't
When can I go find my friends?
Talk to me about real stuff.
He's like, that sucks, dude. When can I... I'm a ghost. More important things right now, couldn't give a shit.
I remember there's a scene where he's trying to keep Julian quiet in his room, and Julian's just not being quiet or something.
Fully golden retriever ADHD energy. And he just helps Jerkll come out of his shell a little bit. And Julian's just like, why are you asking permission to be accepted? Just own the space. And encourages him to use the male bathroom at school and things like that. And it's very cute. It's Jerkll becoming more confident, but also becoming more confident in his identity. Obviously he's comfortable with who he is and has accepted who he is, but isn't very comfortable in forcing other people to.
His identity within the community, kind of,
because his grandmother says to him, you'll always be my little girl, and stuff like that. And well-meaning.
And the grandmother keeps, asking him to help make the food and stuff, which...
isn't the role.
Boys should learn how to make food.
Yeah.
But that's not what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's not teaching him as boys need to learn to make food. But yeah. Oh, it is really good. I've got all of Aidan Thomas's books, but that's the only one I've read so far. I'd like to read them. Well, I
don't know much about his other books, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a like a fantasy one. I think it's like a Peter Pan retelling loosely, and then there's one. I can't remember what it's about, but the character on the front cover has like fairy wings.
I really liked, obviously, where it's like the Spanish culture stuff is interwoven, and obviously they've got Spanish people from all over, because they've got Mexican, Cuban, people from Aztec descent, like that's all mentioned. Definitely testing my Duolingo Spanish, because there's a lot of times where the characters, where they naturally would, they just slip into Spanish, and it's not translated,
which I appreciate in books.
It's none of the narrator going afterwards in his head, he says this, because obviously the narrator understands it. So it's not translated, generally.
It doesn't need to be.
So there's me, like, piecing together from my Duolingo Spanish. Like,
context.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Good.
It's not a huge book either.
No.
It's 344 pages.
I think the audiobook is about 5 hours long.
There's quite a decent pace to it as well, I felt.
Yeah, and it's got like a good bit of action at the end and stuff, and
like Yadrill's
it's quite
the
heartfelt and
yeah.
I like it.
Cute.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so pleased you read it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I've never read this before.
I've never read the original. I've read adaptations.
Yes.
I've listened to adaptations. Yeah.
So this was a Audible from their library.
Okay, included.
Their plus catalog or whatever. Yeah. It was quite good. So I mean, everyone knows the story surely by now, and I've read a lot of like retellings and watched a lot of films and TV shows that are retelling, so I thought I should actually just read the original. And I recently read The Society for Soulless Girls by Laura Stephen, which was a retelling, so I was like, I really need to do that.
Yeah, I've never read the original.
It was quite good. You know, it's a classic, so it's quite in the vein of like The Invisible Man and stuff. It's the characters are very kind of stuffy in society. And
is it readable-ish as a modern reader?
Yes, I would say so.
Not quite as out of touch as like Pride and Prejudice might be or something.
I've not read that, but maybe. It's a very short book. It was like 3 hours in audio, so it follows a lawyer. It doesn't actually follow Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. So it follows a lawyer who is investigating the connection between his friend Dr. Jekyll and an evil Mr. Hyde that's floating about and and it's very, it's about like dual personalities and how the human experience is quite complex. I think it's one of those classics that's it's stood the test of time.
Okay.
Yeah. And another classic, which is one I've been wanting to get to for ages, was Carmilla by J. Sheridan Le Fanu. Not 100% sure. And this is actually the first vampire novel. So it actually predates Dracula.
Yeah, there was quite a few that predate Dracula.
Yeah, because everyone thinks Dracula's the first, but it's not at all. And this is a sapphic one as well.
Oh.
And again, it's a very short book. It was like 2.5 hours, 3 hours audio. And is included in the Audible library as well.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. So it follows an 18-year-old girl who, we're talking Victorian times or before Victoria. I don't actually know when it's set. Some time in the past, and
1700s-ish.
Probably about right. Yeah. And it doesn't say in the description. And she, her father agrees to take in a young house guest who is Camilla, whilst her mother has to travel for some reason or other. and lots of strange things are happening with Camilla. She tends to only be awake at night and things like this. And Laura finds herself really drawn to Camilla, and it's very like sensual, their relationship. It's often referred to as an erotic novel, and I guess it might have been for its time.
Yeah.
Now it's not an erotic novel. But yeah, so it's it's a gothic masterpiece basically. Again, I think it's another one that's
I've actually never heard of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I came across it because someone was like, it's the original lesbian vampire book, and I was like, tell me more. Yeah, it was really.
I have to give that one a
really
go.
enjoyable.
It's free.
Both of them were enjoyable.
It's for free.
Yeah.
Right, it's one of mine.
Yeah, go for it.
A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking.
This is on my TBR.
Have you not read it?
Not yet, no.
Oh my god, so it's on, I'll listen to the Audible.
It's on Scribd as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this is where I listen to it.
Scribed.
Can recommend the Audible. It's quite nice. The narration's quite good. You know someone's just got a nice voice for narration. I don't know how to explain it.
Who was it that was narrating it?
I'll
look it up.
Patricia Santomaso. Tommaso.
I have to see what else she's done.
Yeah, she just had a nice voice for it. So I'll read the description. 40-year-old Mona isn't like the other wizards charged with defending the city. She can't control lightning or speak to water. Her familiar is a sourdough starter, and her magic only works on bread. She has a comfortable life in her aunt's bakery making gingerbread men dance, but Mona's life is turned upside down when she finds a dead body on the bakery floor. An assassin is stalking the streets of Mona City, preying on magic folk, and it appears that Mona is the next target, and in an embattled city, suddenly bereft of wizards, the assassin may be the least of Mona's worries. This is just a cute, she's 14, she's a baker, it's very middle grade-y, but some of the death bits are quite horror-y.
Is it a series, or am I thinking of the wrong thing?
It's not a series.
No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's all kind of wrapped up by the end, so it's fairly standalone. I think you could make more out of it if you wanted to. I'm T. Kingfisher man?
A female.
Apologies.
T. Kingfisher only really has one series, and the rest are... Oh, actually, is T. Kingfisher a female? I think she is. I think I looked this up before. Yes, her real name is Ursula, which I love.
Gotta love a good pen name. But even though she's 14, she's quite sarcastic. It's quite a lot of it's quite funny in places. The narration is quite funny because it's Mona just being I'm 14, my magic is bread. And then there's assassins and there's duchesses she has to speak to. She's I am 14, my job is bread.
That's what it's like in all of T. Kingfisher's books that I've read. The main character is just so relatable. She's just so funny. She's I don't know if you've ever discovered a dead body on your bakery floor, but I actually wasn't sure what to do. Yeah. I've got to make bread.
So yeah, the humour in it is quite good. It takes what could have been maybe a kind of dull story and makes it a lot more funny. Because a lot of things she's just I don't know. The people are looking at her how do I defend a city? And she's I don't know. My job is bread.
Yeah.
I do bread.
That's all I know.
And then she gets falsely arrested for the murder, and she's I just have bread. I just make bread move.
I don't know what's happening.
I can just convince biscuits to be fluffy.
I am 14.
A lot of her stuff is people are literally looking at her to solve things. She's I do bread.
I don't know.
She actually makes a gingerbread man familiar. So she can usually make the gingerbread men dance, and then one time she's really scared and she does one gingerbread man, and then the magic never fades from the gingerbread man, so she just has this really sarcastic little gingerbread. It doesn't speak.
Oh my god.
It doesn't speak, but it's really sassy.
Yeah. Oh my god. I need to how long is the audiobook?
It's not too bad. I think it's 8 hours 30, so on 2 speed you're talking about 6 hours.
I could probably do
or like
that.
1.5.
I could probably do that during this little thing I'm trying to do.
Yeah. And she, like, when she's trying to learn how to do her powers, she makes, like, a bread circus, and, yeah, she makes, like, evil gingerbread man to help with the war.
Oh, that is so adorable.
And she has a sourdough starter that she accidentally made that's sort of semi-sentient, and it's called Bob.
Oh, I love
and she uses
that.
Bob to attack people later in the book.
Oh my god, that sounds so good. You need to check out some more T. Kingfisher.
Yeah, I
There's
think I
quite a
definitely
lot
will now.
on Scribe.
Yeah, I've got a few saved now.
Yeah.
It's a really enjoyable book, and it's like there's lots of like shit happens, but it's all kind of low stakesy. But she does see like murders happen before her, and there's a bit that made me cry.
Oh, don't tell me then.
Yeah, there's a bit at the end.
Okay.
That made me cry, which I was surprised.
But apart from that, it was really fun.
Yeah, but it's like, it's all cute and fun and fluffy, but like she is fighting in a war towards the end with bread.
That sounds so brilliant.
And like she's just angry at all these adults who are like looking to her, and she's like, "Why are you looking at me? I am 14. My job is bread."
I wonder if the Twisted Ones would be good as an audio, because that one I read as an ebook. I bet that'd be a really good audio.
Yeah, like the narrator. I don't know how to describe it. Just you know, one of those ones that's really easy to listen to.
Yeah.
And like even when, I hate when they do man voices, when they do like, I hate those.
Yeah, stop it.
Let
me just see. I've definitely got it, I think, saved. But let me just double check I do. Yeah.
But can recommend if you want some light-hearted stuff that still has a bit of murder and detective adventure stuff in it.
Oh, that narrator has mostly just done like romance, I'm gonna guess they are. Crime, romance. So nothing I would have listened to before now. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, I'm pleased you enjoyed it.
Yeah. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it, actually. I actually listened to it on I've been walking a family friend's dog for them, and I would listen to it on a few dog walks, and it was quite nice. Especially one time I was in the woods and it was all foggy. Oh, and I was like, this is creeping me out so much. And then I'm listening to like silly bread.
Yeah, silly bread.
I was like, this is going to make me feel better.
Oh, I like that.
With one ear, because I'm a girl, I'm in the woods.
Girl,
so of course I've got a fucking one earbud it.
Right, am I next?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to do 2 more.
Okay.
So shall I do 1 and you do... Well, how many have you got?
I've got 1 left.
I'll do 2 and then you do your next. Okay, and they're both very similar. I've grouped all these together quite well. I grouped the cannibal books. Well, yeah. I grouped the classics. Now I'm grouping the mystery crime books. So
cannibals, classics, and mystery.
We've really got it all. My month so far, yeah. I guess I'm really doing the October spooky reads. Yeah. Hitting all of the points. So, these were ones I did like hybrid. So I have the physical book and then I obviously listen to audio. And they're both ones I've been meaning to get to. So the first one was Murder in the Family by Cara Hunter, which has been recently, I think, a bit of a TikTok sensation.
Yes,
I don't know if
have
you
seen that
recognise
cover,
yeah. So this was such a cool idea. So it's like mixed media. Both of these are mixed media because that's my favourite type of crime mystery books. So this follows a fictional Netflix show called Infamous. I assume it's fictional anyway. And they investigate cold cases. And it's one of those Netflix shows that it comes out weekly, so it doesn't drop all at once. Okay. And this particular episode has been requested by someone who was a part of the case. So Luke Ryder is the person that was murdered. He was murdered 20 years prior to this show, which in the universe, the show started showing on Netflix on the 3rd of October 2023, so it's literally so he died in December 2003. He was found, I can't remember who he was found by, but he had a wife who was called Caroline, who was like 15 years older than him. And she had 3 children from her previous relationships. He was like stepfather to 3 children.
Yeah.
So a 10-year-old called Guy, a 10-year-old at the time, a 13-year-old called Moira, and a 15-year-old whose name I cannot remember now. And so at the time, there was a big thing about how there was the age difference. Was he cheating on her? Was she cheating on him? Was he a gold digger? Like all this kind of stuff. So Guy Howard, who was the 10-year-old at the time, he is now a TV producer or a filmmaker, something like that. So he approaches Infamous and says, it's been 20 years anniversary. Can we do about my stepdad's death? I would love it if we could actually solve this crime.
Oh my god.
So they have 6 experts who are in the studio, and it's like dramatized but kind of on the cuff. It's not all pre-recorded.
Okay.
So there are 6 experts, so they have like a private eye, a retired Met Police, an investigative journalist, a therapist or psychologist or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're all kind of related. A forensic investigator. And each like week they go through different evidence. They interview people who they can interview. They follow the evidence. And then the next week they pick up where they left off.
Yeah.
And it's done like, how do I explain it? It's not like pre-recorded,
So they whatever they find out live as they're recording is like found out.
That's
then.
what I mean. Yeah. And then in between, so it explains the episodes in the book, like exterior zooms in on this image. So
that's cool.
And then in between each episode, it goes to like the forums of people who are watching the show, and they chatting about it.
Okay, so it's not from this guy Howard's point of view.
No. So, and then it shows like the evidence that they have and stuff like that. And it was just so good. It was really, really fantastic.
Do you find out what happens and everything?
Mm-hmm.
And is it a good reveal?
It's really good. For disclosure, I guessed who it was / the twist about page 4. But
I don't always feel like that's a bad
really
thing.
Enjoyed because I guessed it, I didn't know I was right until the end. So it was really, really good. It took you on such a ride. So I just and like, the idea of listening to it as well, because it was full cast in conjunction with looking at the evidence, was just a brilliant
really cool
way of doing it. If you want to borrow the book, obviously let me know. I would strongly, strongly, strongly recommend. And if you enjoy mixed media crime stuff, I also strongly recommend the next one I read.
Okay.
Which was called The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels by Janice Hallett, and I've been making my way through her books. So I did The Appeal.
Yes,
and
I
the
remember.
Twyford Code.
And they both sounded really good when you did. Yeah.
So this is the 3rd one. She's got one coming out next year, so I'm up to date now. There is a Christmas one coming out, which is set... It's like a novella set after The Appeal, so it's the same characters from The Appeal. I think that comes out this Christmas, but I've read everything she's had out so far. So this one is about a cold case true crime as well, surprisingly, which is quite funny because I literally did them one after the other. And this is about a cult that took place in Alperton in London. It's somewhere in London. I don't know if Alperton is made up or not for the book.
I mean, I've not heard of that, but that doesn't mean much.
Yeah, and it was a cult who, so it would have been set, I think about 30 years prior to when this picks up. and a author is writing a true crime book on the case. So the case is the Alperton Angels, and the Alperton Angels were a cult who brainwashed, I'm going to read it from the thing, who brainwashed a young teenage girl and convinced her that a newborn baby was the Antichrist. Believing they had a divine mission to kill the infant, they were only stopped when a girl came to her senses and called the police. The Angels committed suicide rather than go to prison, while mother and baby disappeared into the care system. Nearly 2 decades later, so it's been 20 years, true crime author Amanda Bailey is writing a book on the Angels. The Alperton baby has turned 18 and can finally be interviewed if Amanda can find them. It will be the true crime scoop of the year and will save her flagging career, but rival author Oliver Mengis is just as smart, better connected, and is also on the baby's trail. As Amanda and Oliver are forced to collaborate, they realise that what everyone thinks they know about the Angels is wrong. The truth is something much darker and stranger than they'd ever imagined, and the story of the Alperton Angels is far from over. Ooh. So it follows her investigation. It's all through emails and transcripts of interviews she's done.
Wow, so it's like all her others are in
like
mixed
WhatsApp
media,
messages, yeah. And it was really, really good. The whole crime, like the whole plot was just brilliant, and it really took me on a ride. All of her books, I've not had any clue what's going on until like the end when it all comes together.
But in a good way, not
in
a shit
a very
way,
good way, yeah. And like all of them, if I reread it, I would love to then
go and find the breadcrumbs.
Elements. Yeah, really fantastic. I
keep meaning
every
to read
book
them.
of hers
She's
has been a
always said
5
such
star.
good things, or listen, yeah.
Yeah, 5-star for them all. It was a full cast. Again, it was a great audio experience, and hybrid with the book was even better to look at the evidence as you're going along. Yeah, great. Loved them both.
Good. What a well-rounded bag you've got.
The month started off weird.
We'll probably go back to weird eventually.
Yeah, probably.
So, my last one is Ledge by Stacey McEwen.
McEwen?
Probably should have looked that up. Apologies.
Yeah, I always say it to myself McEwen, but I could be entirely wrong. Because, as we all know, I can't pronounce names.
Yeah, I've no idea. This is book 1 in the Glacian trilogy. This is a TikTok author, by the way. And her TikTok is hilarious. It's Stace Bookspace, isn't it? Or
I think something like that,
yeah. Her TikTok is really funny.
I love her, yeah. She does loads of the videos of like getting her partner to act like a fantasy.
Yeah, turning my husband into a book husband and stuff like that. And they're so funny. Because he's just like, what are you doing?
He just doesn't, he's so unbothered. He does it, but he's like, oh, whatever.
There was one where she was like, you need to meet my eyes across a crowded room.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, she's like, you need to flick your head towards me and then do a double take. And him doing the double take was just, it's just so funny.
And he's like pretending he's talking to someone else first. It's just, oh, I love it. And she does really good TikToks of like the writing experiences. She's really open and honest about the struggles she has as an author and things.
Yeah, she's go follow her. She's on Instagram as well. If you're not a TikToker. Okay, let me read the description because I believe they're better than my rambling summaries. So I'll stick to this now.
A lot of the time I realise I just ramble, so I need to read the thing more.
Oh, yours aren't as bad. Mine are really rambly. Like, so I've listened to it's 10 minutes of me talking sometimes, and I've not said anything of worth.
Sometimes I feel like I forget what the plot is halfway through my ramble as well.
Yeah. Because we get distracted a lot.
Yeah.
Just some 2 undiagnosed bitches sitting on a couch.
They're my kids.
No. I just dress like a bisexual, okay?
I'm just pretending.
I'm just cosplaying.
Oh my god. When are we going to read the Edge Chronicles? I just saw them and I'm changing the entire subject of this.
Alright.
When are we going to read them?
That's down to you. You have been the issue every time we've buddy read. Because you go, we're going to buddy read, and I commit to it, read them, and then you don't read them. See, Oh, buddy read.
I read Fourth Wing. I just didn't put any notes in the buddy read section. Okay, cool.
So
it's my fault.
Whenever you're ready. And also, I don't want you to just read the first one, and then I've got to wait 6 months.
That is the biggest issue, I think.
Yeah. Skullduggery has been the biggest betrayal. Because I've had to wait a year and a half to discuss the last book with you.
I'm going to listen to that this month.
Good.
Proceed.
I need more book nerd friends.
Please join our Facebook group.
Yeah, please. So I can talk about things with someone. Because I'm like, read this.
I just got well and truly told off.
We can like read this, and like, it'd be anywhere from 1 month to 2 years before you're like, I've read this now.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I'm trying to be better.
You are.
My brain is a flight risk, okay?
Your brain is, hey, we could read this book, but what if we read 2 books about cannibals instead?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right, let me read the description. After being randomly selected as a human sacrifice instead of death, Dawson finds herself on a quest to save her people from their icy prison, in a place known as The Ledge, a civilization trapped by a vast chasm and a sheer mountain face. There is no way for anyone to escape the frozen wasteland without befalling a deathly drop. They know nothing of the outside world except that is where the glacians reside. Mystical, winged creatures who bring them meagre rations to survive in exchange for periodic human sacrifice. Dawson, axe wielder and only remaining member of her family, has so far avoided the annual culling, but her luck has run out. She is chosen and ripped from her icy home, the only world she knows. No one knows what will happen to her on the other side, least of all Dawson. Murdered, enslaved, worse. Thankfully, the fates align, and Dawson managed to escape their clutches with the help of a half-Glacian called Ryan. Ryan? Spelled R-Y-O-N. Ryan?
Right.
But it's an O, so it's not Ryan. Ryan?
We're going to have to see if she mentions it
Yeah.
on TikTok. How are you reading it in your head?
I just started saying Ryan, to be
Yeah.
honest. which isn't a very sort of fantasy male character, like love interest name. Ryan. But trust does not come easily, and she keeps a trained axe at his throat while they journey together down the slopes. And who's to say that life below will be any better than the one she has run from?
Must be Rion.
Rion? That's more fantasy.
Yeah.
Rion. Yeah. There's another one where my brain was just like, I'm just going to read this wrong and not attempt to fix it.
Yeah. And it's that for the rest of the series.
Yep. Here's Ryan now.
You'll be like TikToking.
Yeah.
You send her a TikTok and be like, you've mispronounced his name, it's Ryan.
The thing is, I'm not going to tag her. I'm too much of a chicken. I didn't even tag her when I did what's this person reading right now? I did one of those with her book, didn't even tag her.
Why not?
I just hashtagged her instead. Because I'm a chicken.
Oh, fair enough. Do you tag AK Mulford?
Yeah, I don't know why AK Mulford's safe in my head. I don't know why.
Safe food.
I'll tag her on TikTok, but not Instagram. I'm too chicken. I actually did do it on Instagram once, and she reposted it to her story.
Check you out.
I know. Yeah, so the Glacians are these horrible winged overlords, and they have corralled a bunch of humans to this civilization on a ledge, and they've had to just scrape out a living, and it's quite a brutal life. Like, they will have trees that they mark with their initials that are basically how they survive the winter, but people routinely kill other families just for their trees to cut down, and like... Yeah, so, and the drop happens, which is when the Glacians drop off supplies, and murders frequently happen at that. Basically, murder is like, it's just survival of the fittest to an extreme, and she's 3rd generation of that.
Okay.
Her grandma was the first one up there. And the Glacians just come twice a year and take people. Or once a year. It might be once a year. And the head of the family stands in front of the family to sacrifice themselves, basically, but there's no way around it. If you close your doors, the Galatians take your whole family. So it's like, one of you you just have to accept it.
One from each family?
Yeah.
That's
no, not
or
all the families,
one?
just like they take a few.
Okay.
But like the head of the family stands ahead of the rest of their family, so that they get taken, basically.
Yeah.
And no one knows what happens to the ones that leave.
Okay.
And then Brian... What was her name? Dawson, not Brian.
That's Crescent City, isn't it?
That's Bryce.
Oh.
Yeah, Dawson is just like a badass. And she's like, I'm not fucking afraid of you. And when she goes down there, she finds out what happens to the people that get taken down there. There's a pool called Iskra, which is like the power of the Galatians, and they use human souls to feed it. And when you come out, you're like a zombie. And then they either use you as a slave or they chuck you in the chasm. And she's like, don't fancy that. And they're like, well, your other option is we let you go and we hunt you. And she's like, well, I'm going to take that one.
Yeah, obviously I'm doing
that
one.
She's the first human in about, 30 years to do that option. But she's like, fucking, no, I'm done.
If I'm going to die, basically, anyway, I might as well just try.
And one of the ones that gets selected to hunt her as part of this is the half Galatian, half human guy.
Of course.
And he's like, well, I was, trying to escape anyway, so this is my perfect opportunity. And you find out her ties to the rest of the human population and who her grandmother was before they got put on the ledge, and it's good. And it's really fast paced.
Yeah.
There's not much fucking around.
It's like go.
Yeah, and it's like Dawson is traumatized by everything she's gone through, and there's space for that, and then how she builds trust with the love interest it's quite a natural build to that. It's not just I hate you, and then suddenly fuck.
Yeah.
It's this gradual build, but it's done fast paced, and this rebellion that the half human guy is involved in doesn't fuck around with that either. That gets straight into it. Because I thought, there must be the whole next book, because the next book's called Chasm.
Yeah.
So it's the whole next book must be the rebellion. Nah, happens at the end of the book.
Oh my god, that's cool. When I was seeing those TikToks of Stacey writing the next one, there's going to be that big emotional something. Cause there's
that scene she filmed where she cried whilst writing it.
Because I think she killed someone off, didn't she?
Yeah.
That's the vibe I got, was it?
Well, there's a bit of a... Oh, no, that's a spoiler.
But yes, so there's some sort of heartbreak coming.
Was that from book 2 or book 1?
Book 2.
Okay.
So there's some sort of heartbreak coming.
I wonder. Because it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Oh, okay. So I should read it sooner then.
Probably.
I wanted to read it 3 months ago, but I didn't get around to it.
Yeah. It's definitely a good read, and it's more fast paced than most fantasy I've read recently. I really enjoyed it.
That sounds good.
I only finished it last night, actually.
Oh. That sounds so cool. Oh, okay. I mean, I do have a lot of books I want to read. That's the issue I have.
Yeah, that's your permanent issue. That's almost the theme of our entire podcast.
Right.
Yeah. Dawson has got she's quite blunt, and then the narration's quite blunt as well, but it doesn't fuck around.
It'd be good if there was an audiobook so I could fit it in this month, but it doesn't look like there is.
She is traditionally published, so I'm surprised there's not an audiobook somewhere.
Oh, well, let's see. Maybe there's one I have to pay for, which I refused to do. Yeah, there is an audio. It's just a credit one, which I don't have any credits.
Yeah. Is it on Audible? I bet if they, especially if they use, because there's lots of it's all about the wind and the ice and stay the frost.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff.
Sounds.
The cold is not alive. There's loads of good phrases like that. Stay the frost, the cold is not alive. Watch the chasm. It's good.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Second one's out now, isn't it?
I
think it came out last month.
It's either out or about to.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's going to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
That's good. I wasn't sure how many it was going to be. Came out on the 12th of September, yes.
Oh, okay.
Last month.
Oh, god damn it.
Officially
then aren't I, for fuck's sake.
Well, so yeah, we both had a good mixture of books so far.
It's quite good reading. Not even a month.
No. Just reading. Good
Just
reading.
Good
We don't
reading.
really do these as like monthly or set time periods. It's just when we feel like we've got enough to talk
Well,
about.
I'll sort of voice note you when we had to like go and record and we're planning what to do, and I'm like, I've just gone in your story graph, you've read 10 books, we've got enough to do an update.
I'm always like, I've not read enough.
Yeah, I don't even ask you now, like, do you think you've read enough to do an update? I literally just go snoop in your story graph.
That's the smart thing
and then
to
I'm
do.
like, she's read 10.
Because I do mostly keep that up to date now.
Yeah.
I've done
So
well.
I'll just straight go and snoop on there.
Have you seen how many books I've read? It's ridiculous. I need to just calm my mental health down.
Yeah, this is more absent yourself from reality than when you were pregnant, and I thought you were doing quite...
103.
Yeah.
172%.
What was your total last year?
Over... that's a good question. Let's have a look.
'Cause I feel like, well, especially when you were pregnant, you were just almost never in reality for a while.
Never.
Like, towards the end, when you weren't having a good time.
I read 128 last year.
Okay. You might be on the way to beat that then.
I will 100% do that if I do my 30 audiobooks this month. And then if we do Edge Chronicles...
Wow, I'm about to start my new job.
So a nice middle grade series might be perfect.
They're going to make me wake up so early.
Yeah.
I have to start at 7:30.
You're going to be hitting up the audiobooks on the way to and from.
Well, the problem I have is because it's first car vibes. You know, I use that little speaker. Audiobooks sound terrible through that little speaker.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
It, like, you lose the ends and start and end of words gets lost.
Yeah.
Like, so if they say a sentence, I'll miss the start
So
and I'll
it's
miss
just
the end.
music only, really, vibes.
Yeah. Unless I have the audiobook really loud and I'm really patient. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. Please consider rating and reviewing wherever you listen to your podcast. It will really help us get seen by other people in the algorithm. We would love it if you would join us on Instagram or TikTok, which is just like Lazy Book Lovers Podcast, something along those lines. I've already mentioned it, but please join our Facebook group if you still have a Facebook account. If you've got Instagram, you've presumably got a Facebook account. We would love to have you over there. We want to make it more like an informal community chat area. So please come join us.
Because that's the vibe we're going for. It's like your bookish friends, but obviously you can't hang out with us, but you could hang out with us on Facebook.
Our 100th episode is fast approaching, so we would love to do a Q&A if you have any questions for us. I think we're going to link a form. So go onto our bio wherever. And
we'll just start putting it on the Instagram soon, probably, but just for now, I've got this form.
Yeah, so please come give us some questions and we will answer them in one of those chaos episodes.
Yep, pure chaos.
Yeah.
Our 100th episode, oh my god. I can't believe it.
If you have any recommendations or suggestions of books you want us to read, let us know. We can add them onto our long list. It's fine.
We'll actually like get to them sooner.
Yeah, we might. There might be ones we actually get to sooner. We would love to do like a book group. So if you fancied something like that, please join our Facebook group, because that would be where we would probably host it.
And especially now you're able to do buddy reads on Storygraph with more
large
people.
buddy reads. Yeah, that'd be
but
really
we need
fun.
buddies.
Yeah, we need the buddies. So yeah, please do all those things, and we will see you next week for something else.
Goodbye.
Bye.